Hello, everyone. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, we're live. And today we have an awesome guest, Joe Corbett from our community. Joe has joined us not long ago, and he's already at $1,000 a day with his e-commerce business. Joe, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, no problem at all. How are you doing, Alex?
Good, good, my man. How are you?
Good, good, good. Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to talk about my experience and get to know you a little bit better too.
My man, your teeth are so white.
Yeah, thank you.
You have veneers?
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, they look so shiny. I need some veneers as well.
Yeah, yeah. It was one of my first purchases out of college. I had a little bit of money and I wanted to make my business appearance look good, so I decided to invest in them and I get a lot of compliments on them, so I think it's paying off.
That's awesome, and yeah, you definitely deserve a compliment. So yeah, before we get started, just want to make sure that everyone can hear us okay and see us okay. So please drop in the chat one if you can hear us okay, and if you can see us okay. So um, we see here. All right. Yeah, one, one, one. Awesome. Yeah. So everything's good with the sound, Joe. Thanks so much for joining me. And where are you joining us from today?
Yeah, I'm currently living in Sweden, but I'm from Austin, Texas.
Oh,
So
really? What brought
yeah,
you to Sweden?
yeah. So my girlfriend's studying abroad out here, and I decided to come with. So I was doing a little bit of remote work before that, and I was able to come, but now I'm all in on BBA. So I'm
Nice, my
sure we'll
man.
get into that a little bit.
For sure, for sure. So, how do you like Sweden?
Sweden's good. It's not too cold yet. It's not too dark yet. I mean, it's so far north that I know that that's coming eventually, but I thought it was going to come sooner. It's end of October and it's only like 60 degrees Fahrenheit here, and the culture is really cool. Definitely super different than Austin, Texas, but it's a good experience. I'll be out here for the next couple months, and I'm enjoying it.
Nice, my man. Nice. So, what's your what's your background before e-commerce?
Yeah, yeah. So I went to school to study computer science. Um, But I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I actually did a minor in entrepreneurship. Um, and I studied computer science mainly to pay my bills. So I went to college and was taking out a lot of student loans. And so along the way, I just looked up, what majors pay the most money. And I saw computer science high on that list. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to study a comp sci, and that's the quickest way to pay off my debt. So that's what I majored in.
Man, if you don't mind me asking, like how much is the college debt?
Yeah, so I was taking out probably around 40K a year. Um,
For how many
yeah.
years?
So I did 4 years.
So it's 160 G's.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
that's why I was like, man, I better make this worth my time. And when I looked up, what majors pay the most money, I looked up, you can see different doctor salaries on there, like cardiologists or anesthesiologists, things that actually require more school that you have to invest more money and go into more debt for. But I saw computer science, you can get a 4-year degree and come out making six figures. So I thought, okay, this is the best bang for my buck.
Uh-huh. Was it beneficial, the education?
Yeah, yeah. The education was great. I mean, computer science is like everybody wants to get into it now. There's so many boot camps popping up. You don't even need to go to college for it anymore. Um, but the thought process that you learn doing computer science is so applicable to other areas of your life. Just the way that you're able to deconstruct problems. I mean, I think it helps immensely, especially even in the ecom journey now.
Hmm. So there is some value to like college education.
I would say if you take advantage of it, yes.
Uh-huh.
Now, I think you can probably learn the same lessons for cheaper. Um, but I wanted to go the traditional way, and I don't know. I came out making good money at a good tech company, and so for me it worked out. But I think it's more and more difficult, and I think the more years that go by, the less and less you need to go to an actual 4-year college.
Mm. Interesting. So do you think you could have done, you could have accomplished kind of the same goals in terms of the education faster?
Definitely, definitely.
Mm,
The reason being, like, when you go to college, you take your major courses and then you take general education courses. And those general education courses, in my opinion, are kind of a waste of time. Like, you can really take whatever you want. Like, I think one of them I took was Greek mythology. Like, super interesting to learn, but I'm paying a couple $1,000 to learn Greek mythology. Like, oh, how is this going to benefit me later on, right?
for sure, for sure. So like, okay, so you started in college, and kind of like at what point, like you like, did you work as a by your like occupation, like as a computer like scientist?
Yeah, yeah. So I graduated with my computer science career degree, and then I took a position as a software engineer for a tech company in Austin, and started working there. And I started working like really, really hard. I wanted to, like, coming out of college, I knew I had all this debt. I was super ambitious, and I had these big, big goals. So I started working really, really hard. Um, but when I talked to my boss, like, "Hey, when is my promotion gonna come? I think I want more money. I think I deserve more money." There was a little bit of hesitancy there. You need to wait a little bit longer. You're fresh out of college. You don't have the experience yet. And I just felt like that was kind of stunting my growth. So more and more over time, I was being pushed towards entrepreneurship, where there's like a 1-to-1 ratio of how much work you put in is kind of what you get out, right?
Hmm. And so you decided to quit?
No, no, I actually I decided to go to a different company.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I went to go try to increase my value at a different company. Um, and so I ended up, you know, studying to try to move to a bigger company, like in big tech, basically. So I was working for a smaller like tech company, and I was doing good things. I found myself, working really hard, getting good results, but like I was saying, I wasn't really seeing the promotion, I wasn't seeing the money coming with it, and, I decided, "Okay, well, where can I get more money for the value that I'm putting in?" And I
Hmm.
just looked up, like, big tech, it pays people all this big money, this is exactly where the best of the best are, and so I set my eyes there, um, and, uh, prepared for probably 6 months. The interviews to get into places like that are really competitive because, it's, I would say, like, the cream of the crop. The kind of, algorithm questions that they ask you in your interviews, you really need to be prepared for. So, I set my goals on that, worked really hard, and eventually got in. Not my first try. My first try, I got rejected, actually, but my second try, I got in. And the reason I bring that up is because it's not, like, sunshine and roses all the time. Like, even if you work hard, you're gonna have setbacks. So I had to, recompose myself and try again. And then eventually I got there and I tripled my salary. So that was great.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, yeah. And then, kind of same story. I ended up working really hard, was waiting for the promotion. And then, my boss was like, "Yeah, well, there's other people waiting in line in front of you. These people have more experience, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Man, I'm doing all these great things. Like, I feel like I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready." But I felt like, you know, my managers at the time had so much control over my future. And that's what really pushed me. So the
Mm.
second time is what pushed me into entrepreneurship.
Man, this is like, and I feel this is how a lot of people feel, right? You're just like action oriented person, like you decided to like, pull the trigger and like go, like many people like can live in that state for like 10, 20, 30 years. They kind of like feel underappreciated, they're putting the work in, and they're not seeing that growth path, in companies, and
Yep.
they on the back of their mind, they're thinking about starting a business and kind of like, kind of crafting their own path, but something stops them, and what do you think that factor is, like why, for instance, like if many people are, I was reading this stat somewhere, like percentage of people they're not like really satisfied or don't feel growth in their current role. It's like massive percentage of people that are working, like what do you think is that factor, like why some people pull the trigger and go all in on their business and some people don't?
Yeah, I think it comes down to just being risk oriented, but I think even deeper, like now in today's society, we're taught to be comfortable all the time, you know, even when it comes to things like shopping online or like e-commerce, right? You can sit on your couch and order whatever you want and it can come here in a couple days, right? Or you know, you can order food delivery. You don't even have to leave your house. You don't have to cook or anything anymore. So we're just built to have more comfort and leisure all the time. So then when you really want to or need to take a big risk because it's, you know, what's going to be best for your career or your future, it seems so difficult because you're just taught discomfort for so long, right? It makes the risk so much more difficult. And
Mm.
yeah, that's really what I feel, and that's what stopped me for so long. I probably should have made the jump after my first position, but it took a little bit more and a little bit more, and then finally I was just like, screw it, man. I don't want to be stuck in the cycle. I was looking at, you know, people who are significantly older than me in that same cycle, and I was like, man, I really want to try to do something for myself at this point. And yeah,
Yeah,
so I made the jump.
my man. And so, like, when you were like, was e-commerce the first like opportunity, the first business model that you jumped into, or you tried some other things before?
No, so it was the first thing that I tried. It was the first opportunity that I tried, but I definitely did my research. You know, if you go on like Instagram or if you know you're looking at different side hustles you can do, you know, you see I think the big one I always get targeted for is like Airbnb arbitrage or you know like investing in real estate, and then obviously there's e-commerce, there's drop shipping, there's you know all these different business models that you can go into. And for me, what I was really trying to do was identify what's the best path for me and what's going to be like a sustainable business that I can eventually build. Um, and I talked to a bunch of different people, honestly. Uh, and I was doing research probably for a month or two, just looking into different business models. And eventually I came across your content and I saw you talking about the lean e-commerce business model. Um, and more so, I saw you talking about not just drop shipping and you know as this like get rich quick scheme, you know, selling trendy products, but I really saw you talking about the importance of building a brand
Mm.
and doing it a lean way initially. So it's not that much investment up front, and then you can build, you know, a great brand that eventually you can exit and make, you know, a ton of money from. Um, and that really stuck out to me as like this is a good business model that you can start with a little bit of skin in the game, and you can scale it and scale it and scale it. And yeah, so that's really what sold me.
That's awesome. And so, did you consider like getting into software or any other like things like that, kind of like congruent with your experience?
Yeah, yeah. So I have a bunch of different software ideas that maybe one day I'll end up launching. But you know, for me it was difficult to find like a starting point. It was difficult to find like a starting point of like where do I go to go launch this? If I maybe I could sit and write all the code and develop an application that I want to go ahead and sell. But and now with I guess with AI, it's
Mhm.
significantly easier to do that. You know, they have these no code tools that you can use and develop your own system like that, right? But when I was looking into it, like a year ago, 2 years ago, you know, not that many people I think were doing that yet. And so I saw it as a much larger upfront investment, and that's why e-commerce I thought would be a better opportunity for me to at least learn the entrepreneurial steps of like creating a business, and then maybe one day I go ahead and start that.
So, as someone with like very analytical mindset, right? You've been through like computer science. You know, it's by definition, it's like very like you're breaking things down.
Yeah.
But did you look at e-commerce like as a whole, as an industry? Because there's a lot of people that are saying like, e-commerce is saturated. There's like, it's too late to get in. It's like people have all of these like objections and things like the reasons why e-commerce is not good opportunity. Like did that go through your mind? Like did you support any of that decision making process by data?
Not necessarily by like hard data, but I have a different perspective on it, which is
Mhm.
as the internet continues to grow and more people are getting access to the internet, and more infrastructure is being built to be able to support online retail, right? I think the industry is just continually growing, right? There's so many markets I think that are untapped. Like I looked at it as from a completely different angle. And I think maybe saying that it's saturated or, there's too many people in it, whatever, I think that's maybe just one of the excuses that people can say without really intrinsically like looking, like you were saying, at the data and trying to understand what they mean behind, it's just a quick phrase people can say, oh, it's too saturated, but that's a way to take the easy way out, right?
Mm. And so when you start, like, what were your first moves? Like when you started to get into e-commerce, like, did you start watching tutorials on YouTube? Like, did you open your store and started playing around? Like, what were those like first steps for you?
Yeah, yeah. So the first step was actually talking to somebody on your team about what your program teaches, because the way that I was thinking about it was if I want to make this, I guess, my career, the best way for me to do that is to learn from people who are already successful in that field, right? One of my first bosses taught me that. I asked him, what's the fastest way for me to get from where I am as like an individual contributor up into like a people leadership executive type role? And he said, well, you're gonna have to put in the time, but the way to expedite your timeline is to learn from the mistakes and gain the wisdom from people who've already gone through that path.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, let me just apply that same mentality to e-commerce and find and leverage some people who've already done this, who've already learned the process. And so I talked to somebody on your team. Uh, Shout out to Daniel, because he really gave me like a really good whole analysis of what brand builders is, and the curriculum that you guys offer, the mentorship that's offered, and really how it's an investment in myself and my future. um, and it did take a lot of convincing, more so because I was just afraid to take the risk. It was a big investment initially. I knew this is what I wanted to do, but obviously it's scary, just making that jump. So
Mm. And so did you do it like while you were still like at that previous company?
So I started BBA when I was actually at my company. But what happened is, as soon as I started BBA, my job started getting a little bit volatile. Like, this was kind of around the time when there were a lot of big tech layoffs.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so everybody was just working like, crazy, crazy hours to, turn out as many features as you can, get applications shipped as quickly as possible. And I was like just grinding, grinding, grinding. So I didn't have as much time as I wanted into BBA. Um, and eventually my BBA time expired, and I had done literally like nothing. And
Mm.
so then I was kind of at this point where I was like, man, I'm still working my W-2, which I want to get out of. And now I've just lost all this money for a mentorship program that I didn't have time to take advantage of because I was working so much. Uh,
Mhm.
and so, I was kind of at this kind of pivotal point where I was like, man, I can either take the loss on BBA and say, screw my dreams, right? Just continue working my W-2, or I can double down and quit, double down, quit my job, go all in on BBA, and really just like put 100% focus in this and see if this is something that I can make work. And that's what I ended up doing.
Oh wow, man, that's fascinating. And so for you personally, kind of like combining both, like didn't work out as well, like your job and just going all in on e-commerce.
Yeah, I think it can definitely work for people. Like, if you set aside dedicated time and you're really disciplined toward that, I think, the content, the curriculum, the coaching that's offered, like, it will help you succeed. I think it's just a numbers game of putting in the time.
Hmm.
But when I wasn't 100% focused in on it, uh, and I had these other responsibilities, like my job, I knew was, some weeks I had to work 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, like just working so much that really at the end of it, I was like, man, if I have to do an hour of BBA, my brain is going to explode. Uh, so I just decided, if this is really something I want to do, I need to put my effort into it, um, and take the risk. And yeah, that's what I did.
Man, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your trust,
Yeah,
in the program and for following through and not like, most people would have probably given up, at that point.
yeah. And, I I talked to my longtime girlfriend at the time. She's still my girlfriend actually. So, but I kind of talked to her about it, and I was like, man, I made this investment and I lost the investment at I'm a young guy, like, but that this is like the biggest investment I've made. I haven't like bought a house or anything. I'm pretty fresh out of college, so this is a big investment for me, and like, I kind of just let it slip away. And her advice to me was, if you had this dream and this vision once, like, why would you let it go, right? Like, if this
Hmm.
was your dream at one point, invest in it and go. And I think a lot of the a lot of successful entrepreneurs you'll see have a good supportive partner behind them. And I think that that's really one of the things as well that really helped me. If you have somebody in your corner that really believes in you and that pushes you, uh, and that wants you to succeed, I think that will motivate you that much more. And so that really helped me as well.
100%, man. And for me, it's my wife. She's
Yeah.
my biggest supporter, and even when we were like both broke, and I was also like investing in mentorships and coaching programs, and we were like literally, I had my net worth like a few $1,000s, at that point, and she was supporting me through those moments, and she believed in me. And yeah, I think it's so crucial to have someone, especially people that are like closest to you, to support you, because obviously there is a risk, 100%, but there is also a risk like continue doing what you're doing and not
Yeah.
like, fulfilling that fire like that's inside of you, and then like you wake up 30-40 years from now and you just I should have done this. I mean, I think it's probably the worst thing that, like Jeff Bezos says, regret minimization framework, when he started Amazon. And it's like, I mean, and at the end of the day, like some of those decisions that are the most like pivotal, like in our life, those are not comfortable decisions. Like those are decisions that come through like you just kind of like getting settled on a certain level. Like you surround yourself, you set it up like in a certain way, and it's like comfortable enough, like you said, right? Like we creating discomfort around ourselves, and everything is so accessible, everything's so easy. Entertainment is accessible, right? So you kind of like, yeah, you might not like your job, but at the same time, you have Friday, you have weekends off, like you're watching Netflix, you're drinking beer, like, and so it's like kind of like it's tolerable, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you know, and so it's so easy to get sucked into that mindset, but then for people that have that fire inside of them, it's like they want to do something bigger. They want to have like more control over their destiny, over their financial future, and other things, and have more freedom in their lives. And if you just kind of like suppress it, I think it just kind of like almost like you kill like a certain part of yourself. And
Yep.
having those people by your side that can like push you and support you in making those like harder, like probably more riskier decisions that eventually can have big impact on your future is so important.
100%, 100%. There's a good quote that I like that says, "If you don't risk anything, you risk everything."
Hmm.
Um, and so, everything that you dreamed of is possible and probably even more, but if you don't take that first step, none of it's gonna happen. It's like they say, the hardest thing about going to the gym is your first step out your front door, right? So
Such a good point. Such a good point.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Okay. So what were the first like? Okay, so you decided to just go back like all in with your e-commerce business.
Yeah.
Like, what was your journey since then? What were the first like steps? Like, kind of, because with your analytical mindset, with all these things, obviously, like you know how to deconstruct different
Yeah.
things, right? How did you deconstruct e-commerce for yourself?
Yeah, 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 definitely. So I think at the beginning, I knew that I wanted to build a brand, right? I knew that I wanted to build a brandable business, right? Like, I didn't want to be in this rat race of selling trendy products, and trying to just beat the next guy out. Whoever sells this the fastest is, gonna make money, and you kind of just like in this game of edging each other out, right? Like, I wanted to build a brand. And again, that's why you stuck out to me. And so really what I started my journey with was identifying a niche that I wanted to be a part of. And from there, I just decided,
Which niche did you decide to pursue?
yeah, I decided on the pet niche.
Oh, pet niche.
Um,
Okay, cool.
yeah, yeah. So I decided on the pet niche because I have a pet, so I figured I can like already relate to that customer base. And on top of that, I kind of had this
You
other
bring
idea.
your pet with you to Sweden?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
Is that dog?
Yeah. It's a cat.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she's kind of easy to travel with, but my girlfriend's like obsessed with the cat, so the cat had to come. Uh, so yes, that was pretty funny, and the cat's here with me. But yeah, so I decided like I'm gonna go with the pet niche because I understand this customer base, right? And once I kind of decided with from on the niche that I was gonna dive into, I decided, okay, who's like my target persona for this brand? If I want to like brand, I guess if I want to brand this business, what do I want it to look like? Who's my target audience? And I basically created like this uh, persona of who my target audience was going to be. And then the vision of what the brand is going to look like started coming into my head, right? And and then just listed out, okay, for this customer, what are 10, 15 of their biggest problems that that they run into? And so then, like you said, like I have this analytical mind. I started kind of deconstructing it. So, a lot of people say that the way that they start their ecom journey is by, scrolling through for trendy products or scrolling through for whatever's selling, right? For me, I wanted to almost reverse engineer that process and think, what's the niche? What's the customer persona? What, problems does that customer persona face? What are all the different physical products that I can solve these problems above with? And then can I identify different commonalities between the different problems that they have. So let's say I find one product and I know that this one product can solve one, two, three, four, um, five different of their problems, right? So now I have five different angles that I can instantly market towards with my one product. And then you're probably not going to be the first person to sell your product. And like, unless you're starting Facebook or something, like, you're not gonna be the first person to start something. So then you're gonna look at your competitors, and then you already have their angles. You already have all these five different angles you can start with, and boom, that's enough to get you started. So, um, that's
Hmm.
how I reverse engineered the process.
Man, I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah, and it's very similar to how we operate, like in our business. And I'm trying to like educate people on like number one is like identifying, instead of just like you said, going on TikTok or Facebook, going on there's so many different like spy tools you can use to identify, yeah,
Yeah.
like, people selling this product. Okay, so now like everyone's jumping on that product, trying to sell it without truly understanding who they're selling that product to and with a true understanding what problems on a deeper level, like what problems that product is solving for their customers. And
Yep.
for you it was more natural because it's some you're pretty much like one of your ideal customers probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Oftentimes like if you're not your ideal customer, then I mean you can do research, you can go through Amazon reviews, you can see what angles you can pull from there, like what specific pain points the product solves and how people describe their problem. Like I always give this example, like in our business, for instance, we're selling products. Our brands are mostly going after women,
Hmm.
and those women are like 40, 45 plus. I'm a man. I'm in my 30s. I have no idea how they talk about their problems, what problems they face, how they describe their problems. It was their specific words because they might have their own like language, their whole kind of like vocabulary. And the
Yep.
only way to find that out is to do the research and like kind of like go deeper into that product. So with products, most people just go like very shallow. Like they go find the product, they probably then copy the landing page, copy the ads, and trying to sell it. And most of them fail because
Yep.
they there is no differentiating point how they market the product. Product itself is like commoditized, and they just kind of like very shallow, very surface level. Instead, like doing more research and really understanding who is selling the product to, and then doing the research, understanding, okay, what are different angles that you can sell this product with? Like you said, it could be different product problems because sometimes the same product, like you said as well, can solve multiple different problems, and some of
Yeah.
those might be more impactful, more emotional, might get people to buy. And I think that's like probably one of the most impactful kind of like factors that make people successful. From my observation, like just seeing so many people succeed and fail, like in e-commerce, that make successful businesses. They truly understand who they sell their product to. Who is that person? Like, so you're here, like you're in Sweden, right?
Mhm.
And on the other side of the world, there is a person on their computer, on their phone, looking at their news feed and seeing the ad. How well can you connect with that person? Can
Yep.
you connect with them in words that they understand? Can you connect with them with visuals that they will understand? Can you just like pinpoint that problem that they have so they get it? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm facing this problem. I really want to solve it. And it seems like this product is something that can help me solve it. And I think that's a part that a lot of people bypass. They think that they could go on spy tools and find something that's working and just copy it, or they think that they can go to like ads manager and kind of like hack their way to to making it work. But I think it's such a fundamental point. So for everyone listening, I think you should just the way you describe it is also very simple. Identify the niche, identify the customer, identify the problems, and then how can you describe that problem to them in a visual way, on your ad side, and then on the website to get them to buy your product and solve that problem for them.
Yeah, and you made a good point. People buy products that they resonate with. They buy from brands that they resonate with. And so if you do your due diligence and like you said, go through Amazon comments and see the different keywords that they're asking and you use that same exact language, you're increasing customer trust implicitly because then that customer sees your ads or they see your landing page and they say, okay, this person talks like me, this person resonates with exactly the problem that I have, and then they're more than likely to convert because now you're a trusted source for them. So there's so much psychology behind it that we can hone in on, but really, like, I think what's helped me so much in this game is not just doing something for the sake of doing it or going through the actions because I'm in BBA and it says you should, the next stage is to build your landing page, right? But why are you doing that? What content am I putting here and what benefit does it serve? Everything should have a point, and you should look a little bit deeper beyond that. And if you just look one or two levels deeper, you're so much more likely to be successful, I think, because you've done that analysis up front.
Such a good point. What is how your time in BBA has been, like, since you like went all in on e-commerce? Like, how was the kind of the trajectory? How much time did it take you to get some traction with your business?
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely walk through that. So, the first week that I was in BBA, first of all, I've only been like actively working in BBA for uh a little over a month, like 5 weeks now. Um, But the first week, I was really doing product research, going through the process that I was explaining to you. Um, and after that, started working on my website. So I chose a product, did the whole like customer mind map type thing, uh, ended up finding a product, ended up finding somewhere I could source the product from. By the way, to anybody listening, this is very well broken out into BBA, and there's so many like very good in-depth videos and that you can go through that really helped me expedite my process here. And that's why I wanted to go with a program like this that could guide me through. So even though I'm only 5 weeks in, I feel like if I were doing this on my own, it would have taken me months and months and months to go through these same types of hurdles. But the first week, I really found my product. Second week, I started working on my website. I do have a background in computer science, but I didn't want to build my website on my own, like develop the web app myself. I wanted to leverage Shopify for speed. Um, and so I leveraged Shopify, built out my Shopify site. Um, and then going into the third week, I finished up my website and started making my own ads. And I didn't want to outsource anything at the beginning, Primarily because I want to understand the process like end to end. I want to understand what goes into making an ad. That way, eventually, when I do outsource, I can kind of audit the people that I'm hiring. If I'm gonna go build out a team, I want to make sure that their skills are there, and I can also like audit how good they are at what their job is, um, and also give them pointers at the same time. So I built all that stuff myself, and then made my own ads. And the third week, I launched my product. Um, by the way, it was like a lot of work building up to this. Like 3 weeks is definitely an expedited timeline. And I was putting in like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day of a lot of work. Um, but, one thing that Daniel taught me when I started to join BBA is this process works. There's a lot of people that are able to become successful with e-commerce, but the commonality between everybody is that they put in work. And when you run into harder times, when you run into, um, different whatever setbacks, right? You need to continue to work through those. And as long as you put in the work, you will be successful. There's no difference between, me and you or me and somebody else, any of the listeners, right? Like it's really just putting in the effort and attempting to learn. And this, you can start making sales. So anyway, with that in mind, I launched my product in week 3. Friday, no sales. Saturday, no sales. And then I started freaking out, thinking to myself, that I put in all this work for no reason. And then I looked back into the curriculum and I saw, if my soft metrics are good on my ads, it's probably an issue with the offer. And so I changed around my offer, and then sales started coming in. And it was that
Wow.
easy.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
awesome. And you made such a good point that also I think a lot of people bypass, which is you've been through the whole process yourself just to truly understand it. Because what I see with a lot of people, especially those that are like limited on time, is that they're trying to outsource things like too early. They're trying to, okay, so I want someone to build my website, or I want someone to, to run my ads. So yeah, there's like people just like, hey, here is like outsource. They find like a random person. Yeah, they seem like legitimate. Like they seem like they know better than me. They, drop it here, 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 right? So give away all of these like little parts of the process without truly understanding, okay, what does a good ad look like? What does a good conversion, like good website looks like? What does a good offer looks like, right? And people that you would hire, I mean, sometimes there's like outliers, people that are like really good at what they do, but most of the times those people just, they kind of like they might have like multiple clients and they do a little bit work here, a little bit here, like so they're not really like top at what they do, because top people also cost like a lot more. And so, and what ends up happening is that, people don't perform, and the people who hire them don't even know why they don't perform. Like they don't know like what was the problem. So if they don't know the problem, they don't know how to solve that problem. And that happens in many cases. So I think the process that you went through is exactly what people need. That just, you might not, okay, like let's say a few months from now, you might not be even editing your own ads, like you might not be running your own ads. Like if your business picks up, like you're profitable, like you can hire all those people. But before you do any of that, you have to truly understand, all of the moving parts of the business. Because if you don't, then people will be just like, yeah, it doesn't, like they'll be just telling you something, kind of
Yeah.
why something is not working, and you wouldn't even know why.
Yeah, you have to put in that sweat equity and really understand the process to then later on be able to, I guess, reap the benefits of it, right? Like, I mean, you made a good point. Somebody could make your ads and you have no idea why they're not performing. But if you have more of a deeper understanding behind it, um, then obviously, you can kind of diagnose what's going on. So,
and that,
yeah.
and that's also even like even beyond that too, is like looking at the business as a business, right? So if you, like you said, you take any business and you deconstruct it. Let's say you want to sell burgers, right? Okay, burgers, there's like, you want to open location restaurant, there's few elements to make that successful. Number one is location. Okay, where is the location? Is there enough foot traffic? right? Number two is quality of the product. There is a customer service. There is quality of, I don't know, meat that you're sourcing, right? Number four is a marketing, like how do you get people to come in, like if you want them to come in, the types of offers that you're structuring, the quality of the machinery and the effectiveness of the machinery. It's like all of these moving parts. So if people treat, and that's what I've noticed, we have BBA, we have ESS, we have Elite Mastermind. The people that are in Elite Mastermind, we have many people that are doing, at the low end, it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. Like on the higher end, is like millions of dollars per month. So they build like really successful businesses, but they truly understand every moving part of their business. Like they understand, the customer support, they understand the market. They might not be doing it themselves, but they understand the most important things there. They understand how to identify the constraint that stops them from scaling even farther, and that's what differentiates people. So pretty much treating e-commerce as a business, not as something that like by some luck you find some random product somewhere and you launch, you put some like random landing page, you put some random ads, and for some reason it performs, and you're just sitting on beach, right? And it somehow makes money. It's not that. E-commerce is a business. You have to put the work in if you want to make it successful, and that's a common thread that I see with all of the successful entrepreneurs. That's what I've noticed, like with myself, going through sometimes it's not very comfortable, something that you want to do. Like, yeah, I don't want to like understand the customer support and like go through like tickets and understand how we can improve that process, but sometimes it's just what you have to do. And
Yep.
and that's more like even more true at the beginning of the business, where you just have to get those reps and understand every moving part of the process.
Yeah, you have to get those shots up. And I remember the first ads that I made were so bad. And I sent them to my coach. And he was like, yeah, these are good, but like they could be better. Being a little bit supportive, but not trying to just like destroy my destroy my like I don't know, confidence, I guess. And so then I was like, yeah, let me retry. Whatever. Second set of ads came back better. Now I'm on whatever, ads 6 or 7. I don't know. I've generated, I don't know, 50, 60 different ads I've made at this point on my own. And you can see like the timeline that they just get better and better and better and better. And, you know, to the point that we were talking about earlier, even if you outsource it, let's say you're scaling, you outsource it to one guy. What if this one guy you hired off of Fiverr or off of Upwork or whatever, he ends up disappearing one day, and he's not responding back to you or anything. Now your business is on hold because you're not able to turn out more ads, you're not able to execute whatever position that person was doing. So you have redundancy in your business by being able to take on that job yourself. um yeah, so I think there's a ton of value in being able to learn the whole end-to-end process.
For sure. What is the like? Did you have to change any of the beliefs? So when you got into like e-commerce, you went like all in. Did you have any of the beliefs that kind of like shifted for you, like in those like few weeks? That like, oh wow, it's like I thought this is this way, but oh, it's actually different. Like, did you have any of those like paradigm shifts in the process?
One of them probably tainted my perspective on Shopify based on social media. Is I thought the first day I was going to post my product, I was just going to be hearing cha-ching, 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 I thought I was going to be scrolling on my phone and I was like, man, I'm going to be a millionaire overnight. Like, this is going to be great news. And so those first 2 days of no sales was the biggest reality check. And then that kind of like that set in everything to me. Is like, okay, this is a real business. Like, if I want to scale this to that point, you see those 7, 8 figure guys, right? Like, they didn't do it overnight. Even if you listen to, other podcasts that you've done. I think I just listened to Breton the other
Mm,
day,
yeah.
and he's been building his business for years and years and years, and he sees so much growth year over year, but it doesn't happen overnight. Like, maybe there's some occasional success stories, but even the people that say they've built, a 6, 7 figure company in a couple months, like, most of the time they've maybe been doing a little bit of work beforehand, or they've been doing, research beforehand. You don't know everyone's story. So, um, you know,
For
the success can be there, but it does require hard work. So that
for
was definitely a paradigm shift for me.
For sure, my man. It's like like for my journey. It's the same. It's when I started first, like I didn't start with e-commerce like right away. I started as a freelancer, working with other clients. I started as a VA. Then some of the clients were from like e-commerce, and they asked me to run ads, and I realized how to run ads, and I learned more about e-commerce, and then I found out about drop shipping model, which is basically e-commerce without a lot of inventory up front, which resonated with me as well. At that point I didn't have much money, but it's like all of those stepping stones. So when when we have stores now that are like scaling so rapidly, like you said, there is just so much stuff behind the scenes that was done, right? And so many mistakes and painful mistakes and learnings that I had to do in order to now being able to scale businesses so fast. But it's like understanding that this is marathon, not a sprint. And
Yeah.
obviously, we all get like, people post on Instagram the good life that they have, the cars, traveling, like all of that, and it's inspiring on one side. But then for people watching those, it's important to realize that if you start a business today, like you won't be millionaire tomorrow. There's just like no way, right? Like you have to go through all of those reps. Initial reps will be probably painful, but then if you're looking at it from the bigger time perspective, if you're looking for the next like 5, 10, 20 years from now, where number one, like you're building a business, you're accumulating all of these different skills that you can apply in so many different domains. And on the other side, it's like if you crack that business and you start growing that business, it can set you financially for life. Whereas with the typical path that most people have, it's they have a job and it's kind of like, you might get some promotion and it's like this. But then reflecting on that too, like you said, was you work in a company with like a lot of layoffs and stuff like that. Like it's not guaranteed that that will not impact your specific job. Like I was in Arizona like just last week with my team. We were at the Mastermind, and there is these like self-driving cars, like
Yeah,
Uber,
yeah.
Waymo.
Uh-huh. Yeah, way more. Yeah.
Man, I mean, yes, it's like, and we were using Uber, right? And we're sitting in Uber and we're like, probably wasn't the right place for that conversation, but we were like, yeah, I mean, all these people, unfortunately, they'll be out of jobs,
Yeah.
because of all of every that whole disruption that's happening right now. It's very slow, it's just getting traction. But then, like, let's say, project 5, 10 years from now, these people that are driving Ubers, they'll have to do something else because all of these cars will be autonomous. And I think just kind of, maybe a little bit of fear. I mean, for me, fear of poverty was one of like motivating factors, when getting a business. But like even for people working at jobs and thinking that that job is secure, it's I don't know. I mean, you would have to bring something very, very like extraordinary to the table to have and also evolve with your skill sets over time to be able, to have that security. As in business too, right? In business as well, like you have to evolve. But the upside of this business is just could be so much more substantial. Like if you project 5, 10, 20 years from now. But it's just kind of the constant mindset of like evolution. Whether you're working like a standard job or you're in business, but then also reflecting if like running a business and having more freedom for yourself and your family, something you want to do, then just kind of committing to that and pursuing that. And initially probably won't be pretty.
Yeah. But I think, even to your point about AI, I think the barrier of entry is now even less because you can leverage AI, right? To now do so many aspects of your business for you now. Like even the brainstorming part that I talked about earlier, I was leveraging AI throughout the whole time, talking to ChatGPT, asking them, what are the, pain points for my customer? What are physical products for the customer? They have AI UGC now, AI, creatives you can create. I mean, I actually just saw an interview with Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and
Mhm.
he was saying that he's in a group chat with his buddies, and they have a bet going about when there's going to be the first solo entrepreneur with $1 billion business.
Hmm.
So they
Wow.
think one guy is going to be able to run a whole $1 billion business by himself with the power of AI, and they're predicting that's going to happen soon. So if that's how easy it's becoming with the power of AI, that's even more that's even more reason and opportunity to leverage this, right? Like, um,
For
yeah,
and even it's like you said, it's like even for people that are working like regular jobs, it's like how to like and that was your mindset, like you said, like throughout the whole like different jobs that you had, how to increase my value for the company, right? And that's, you have to leverage tools, you have to understand technology, you need to bring some ideas to the company to help them grow, right? So whether you comfortable, some people are okay, operating with in that environment, and that's totally fine. Some people would never like run a business or would want to run the business, that's fine. But you still have to be like on a cutting edge. Okay, so what's happening, what are the processes in my company I can improve, help improve, bring it to the management, and just increase my value to that company. Or like you said, if you're in business, also being like on the cutting edge. Okay, so what tools I can use to simplify the workflow? Sometimes some of these tools can replace team members,
yep,
like AI support, like tickets, automatically answering them. There's many different like avenues that it could be applied, like writing copy, doing the research, like all of those things. But it's, I don't think, as entrepreneurs, like we can afford to not use that, because like if we don't use it, someone else will be more efficient, someone else will be more profitable, and if they're more profitable, they'll be able to spend more money on advertising, they'll put us out of business. So it's constant, like that evolution mindset and growth mindset, which is very exciting. I absolutely love that. What's new technology, we can use to streamline our business and make it more efficient. But it's so crucial to succeed, in today's world.
yeah. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier about comfortability as well. You should always be a student of the game, always be learning, always pushing your boundaries and trying to be in that uncomfortable situation of just learning and trying new things rather than, okay, something works, let me sit on it and just, wait until I bleed this thing dry, right?
For sure. So your ads now, they're higher quality, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So now I have some high quality ads made by Joe, and they're doing better. But one of my key learnings actually with ads that I'm definitely happy to share with the listeners here is like you shouldn't make decisions on your ads based on emotion, which is something that I was kind of doing at the beginning, which is okay, I have an ad, I think it's a good ad, I think it's going to work, let me keep running this. And then the profitability I had starts going down and down and down. I see my ROAS going down, but I'm sitting there thinking, oh, it just needs one more purchase. It just needs another purchase. It needs a couple more purchases, another day, right? No, like you need to make your decisions based on data. And that's definitely one of the paradigm shifts I think in my mentality that's helped me over these last couple weeks is really like intrinsically thinking this is the data, these are the decisions I need to make based on the data. Don't sit and waste profit running ads that aren't successful, right? And with the election coming up, things can be kind of on and off. So, just be ready. Black Friday, Cyber Monday is coming around, the holidays are coming around, and so I'm really just gearing up for that now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what piece of advice would you give to anyone starting a business?
I would say is that you really like aim to understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. Because I think these first couple actions that you take when you're starting a business are really pivotal. Because if you start something new and you take the risk and you're not getting wins or momentum, it can be really difficult to keep going, right? Let's say somebody, tries one product and fails, and then they think, oh man, this ecom thing isn't working, right? You need to increase your chances of success the first couple times around because that initial momentum will keep you going. So if you think a little bit deeper, okay, this is why I'm going to do this thing. This should give me this result. And then you start kind of stacking these smaller wins. Okay, I just created this product page. I just created my first ads. These are all little wins. Okay, I just got my first purchase. That momentum will keep you going, and fuel you until you're at a more of a stable point. So I would say really try to understand the reason behind why you're doing what you're doing, and that will increase your chances of success and your chances. And once you start seeing the success, that will increase your momentum, and then you're off to the races.
Such a good point. And like one thing that you just mentioned is that, like, even with ads, when you made your first ads, they were not the best, right? And you didn't take it like personally, or like, most people just like would take it personally. Oh, it's like, they're good ads, or you know like taking the emotion out of the equation, like you said, and also kind of like taking everything that you do as just an experiment. And
Yep.
because like in business, like even like when you're testing products, or even bigger companies, sometimes they introduce like lines of products that don't resonate with customers. Like big companies, billion-dollar companies, sometimes they launch something and it doesn't work. Like Coca-Cola sometimes launches these like different tastes of Coca-Cola. They have the cherry and they have like different tastes, and that sometimes I notice that in the store they have like so many of these, but then I don't see them rolling out all of those tastes, everywhere. The standard Coke is usually the best seller, and that's what they stick to. So they do a test, it either works or it doesn't. They take it back to the drawing board. Is it something worth pursuing? If not, let's cut it, let's move on. And having this like constant feedback instead of, and I mean, a lot of that comes with education and with parents and stuff like that, where if something doesn't work, okay, that's it. Like you said, e-commerce e-commerce is not working. E-commerce is saturated. This product is saturated. This niche is saturated. And so, kind of like justifying why that didn't work instead of realizing, okay, so this didn't work. Why it didn't work? Let's figure it out. Let's try a little bit better. If you're in that community like BBA, getting feedback from someone who's done that before, making adjustments and making next one better and next one better, and just like feedback loops, like with software, like using iPhone, like there's
Yep.
iOS updates. For some reason, there's always bugs.
Yep.
None of the like there's no perfect software, there's no perfect product, there's nothing perfect. Everything is always work in progress. And if people accept that mindset, that if they truly want to do something, it will be continuous feedback loops and continuous like iterations and iterations and iterations, and you learn from data and you make adjustments, and that's how eventually you build a successful business.
Yeah, a lot of it's perspective, like with my ads example, I could have gotten, really demoralized saying these ads are shitty. But if you look at it on the other side, I can think, wow, I just made my first ads. This is pretty cool. Look at the skills I got. So it's a complete like mindset change. But I think if you go in with an optimistic mindset on a lot of these things you'll do, eventually you're gonna get there.
My man, that's awesome. And I mean, so many lessons for people watching. I highly recommend to just rewatch it one more time, like, or a few more times, because you made so good points, like fundamental mindset shifts that I think a lot of people would benefit from. And from my perspective, I appreciate you so much for your trust in us, for following through, for even after the initial period, you didn't take advantage, you decided to go all in on this, and now like you're getting traction with your business, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at next benchmark is 100K a month.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully we're doing that soon. So yeah, I'll keep you posted.
Oh man, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's late for you in Sweden, so I'll let you go. And thank you so much for joining me. Thank you everyone for watching. And yeah, see you at the 100K months.
Yep. Thanks, Alex.